The quantum detection array at CERN hummed quietly in the pre-dawn hours, its sophisticated sensors probing the depths of space for any anomalies in the cosmic background radiation. Dr. Elena Martinez sat before the main console, her dark eyes reflecting the soft blue glow of multiple holographic displays. She had spent countless nights like this, searching for patterns in the quantum noise that might reveal something new about the universe's fundamental nature. Tonight was different. The signal came at 3:47 a.m. Central European Time, a subtle distortion in the quantum field that would have been missed by less sophisticated equipment. Elena's fingers flew across the haptic interface, isolating and amplifying the anomaly. What she saw made her breath catch in her throat. "Dr. Chen," she called out to her colleague, who was dozing in a nearby chair. "I need you to verify something." Dr. Wei Chen, theoretical physicist and expert in quantum communications, moved quickly to her station. His usual skepticism dissolved as he studied the data streams. "This isn't natural," he muttered, making rapid adjustments to the scanning parameters. "This is a signal, a quantum-encoded transmission." Elena nodded, her heart racing. "Look at the complexity of these patterns. Whatever sent this, they're using quantum entanglement in ways we've only theorized about." The signal's source was a star system approximately 1,200 light-years from Earth, in the direction of the Carina arm of the Milky Way. As they decoded more of the transmission, the gravity of the situation became clear. The message came from a civilization calling themselves the Varians, and they were facing extinction. Their star was dying, preparing to go supernova far earlier than its stellar classification would suggest. The Varians had detected unusual quantum fluctuations in their star's core, a cascade effect that would trigger a catastrophic collapse within months. They had reached out to every advanced civilization they could detect, pleading for help. All had refused. Within hours, Elena found herself in an emergency video conference with the United Earth Council, explaining the situation to representatives from every major nation on the planet. The holographic displays showed not only the quantum signal data, but also live feeds from the most powerful telescopes on and off Earth, all now focused on the Varian star system. The Galactic Council of Advanced Species has already been aware of this situation for several weeks, announced Ambassador Lai Wei, Earth's representative to the Council. Her holographic form flickered slightly as she transmitted from the Council's headquarters on a distant world. "They have determined that intervention would be inappropriate." Inappropriate. Elena couldn't keep the edge from her voice. "We're talking about an entire civilization facing extinction. Surely with their advanced technology." The Council's position, Ambassador Lai interrupted gently, is that stellar evolution is a natural process. They believe that civilizations must face such challenges on their own, or perish. It is, they say, the way of the universe. A murmur of disbelief rippled through the assembled representatives. Dr. Chen spoke up, his voice carrying despite its softness. "With respect, Ambassador, we've analyzed the Varian signal. They're not asking for a complete solution. They're seeking cooperation, knowledge sharing. They have theories about quantum-based stellar stabilization, but they lack certain key insights." Elena pulled up new data on the main display. "Their understanding of quantum mechanics is different from ours. They've developed aspects we never considered, while missing developments we take for granted. If we combine our knowledge, the Council has forbidden any intervention," Ambassador Lai stated firmly. "They've made it clear that Earth's standing in the galactic community would be severely compromised if we chose to ignore their directive." Silence fell over the conference. Humanity had only recently gained provisional membership in the Galactic Council, a status that had brought significant technological and economic benefits. The implied threat was clear: help the Varians, and lose everything we've gained. Elena stood, drawing all eyes to her. "Distinguished representatives, I understand the Council's position, but I want you to consider something. Every advanced species in our galaxy has chosen to stand aside and watch a civilization die. They've wrapped their inaction in philosophy, in concepts of natural selection, and non-intervention. But we know better. She manipulated the display, showing the complete decoded message from the Varians. This isn't just a cry for help. Look at what they're offering to share with whoever aids them. Their quantum theories could revolutionize our understanding of physics. Their stellar engineering concepts, even in theoretical form, are centuries ahead of ours. They're not asking us to save them. They're offering us partnership. And if we act against the Council's wishes, someone asked. Elena's expression hardened. Then we prove that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our intelligence, but our unwillingness to stand by while others suffer. We prove that we haven't forgotten what it means to face extinction alone, to reach out into the darkness hoping someone will answer. Dr. Chen stepped forward, adding his voice to Elena's. The Varian star will go supernova in approximately 4 months. We have until then to either act or join the ranks of those who chose to do nothing. The question isn't whether we can afford to help. The question is, can we afford to be the kind of species that turned away? The conference erupted in intense discussion. Elena returned to her seat, watching the debates unfold. She knew that whatever humanity decided, this moment would define our species' place in the galaxy. We could accept the Council's wisdom, their detached philosophy of non-intervention, their belief that some must be sacrificed for the greater cosmic order. Or we could choose another path. As the arguments continued, Elena's computer chimed softly. Another quantum signal was incoming from the Varian system. As she decoded it, a small smile touched her lips. The Varians hadn't given up hope. Despite being rejected by dozens of advanced civilizations, they kept reaching out, kept believing that somewhere in the vast galaxy, someone would answer. They were about to discover that humanity's greatest power wasn't in our technology or our wealth, but in our stubborn refusal to accept the impossible. The real question wasn't whether we would help. The question was how. The decision took less than 48 hours. In an unprecedented show of unity, Earth's nations voted overwhelmingly to aid the Varians. Council sanctions be damned. The following morning, Dr. Elena Martinez found herself standing before a hastily assembled team of Earth's brightest minds at the CERN Quantum Research Facility. The Varians have provided us with their theoretical framework for quantum stellar manipulation, she explained, gesture-controlling a complex holographic model of atomic structures. Their understanding of quantum entanglement at a stellar scale is revolutionary. But they're missing a crucial piece: stable quantum tunneling technology. The assembled scientists and engineers studied the Varian data with intense focus. The alien civilization had discovered ways to influence matter at the quantum level that seemed to defy the laws of physics as humanity understood them. But their attempts to apply these principles to their dying star had failed, each effort destabilizing the stellar core further rather than preventing its collapse. Dr. Wei Chen stepped forward, his usually quiet demeanor energized by excitement. They're approaching the problem from a completely different paradigm than we are. Look at these equations. They don't see quantum states as probability functions. They treat them as malleable networks, more like living systems. A ripple of murmurs passed through the crowd. The Galactic Council had always presented quantum mechanics as a rigid, mathematically precise field. The Varian approach suggested something far more dynamic, more organic. The facility's main doors slid open, admitting Ambassador Lai Wei. Her expression was grave. The Council has just issued their formal response to Earth's decision, she announced. All technological sharing agreements are suspended. Their ships will be departing our system within 24 hours, and they're recommending that all member species cease trade with Earth immediately. Elena met the ambassador's eyes, and a slight smile crossed Lai's face. And I just submitted my resignation as ambassador. I believe my skills would be better used here, helping to coordinate with the Varian scientists. Their quantum communications protocols are unlike anything I've seen in my years with the Council. The next few weeks passed in a blur of activity. Research facilities around the globe redirected their efforts toward the Varian crisis. Quantum computers ran complex simulations day and night, testing theories that merged human and Varian understanding of physics. Space agencies began retrofitting vessels with experimental quantum engines, preparing for a journey that would push human technology to its limits. But the Council wasn't finished with Earth. Their ships might have left, but their influence remained. Corporate contracts with off-world entities were canceled. Promised technological exchanges were suspended. Several major economic forums banned Earth's participation, sending markets into temporary chaos. Through it all, humanity's resolve never wavered. In a secure conference room at CERN, Elena and her team made a breakthrough. The holographic display showed a new kind of quantum bridge, a technology that combined Earth's expertise in quantum tunneling with Varian insights into stellar manipulation. The theory is sound, Dr. Chen explained to the project leaders. We can create a stable quantum channel directly into the star's core. The Varians can then use their quantum manipulation techniques to prevent the collapse, but only if we can maintain the bridge long enough. The power requirements are enormous, Elena added, bringing up another set of calculations. We'd need to channel enough energy to power a small continent, all focused through experimental quantum technology that we've never tested at this scale. How many ships would we need? Asked Admiral Sarah Hayes, the newly appointed commander of the rescue fleet. At least 5, Chen replied, each one carrying a portion of the quantum bridge generator. They'll need to maintain perfect formation in space while channeling unprecedented levels of energy. One mistake, one misalignment. He left the sentence unfinished. Everyone in the room knew the stakes. The quantum bridge technology was theoretical, tested only in simulations. If it failed, the backlash could destroy not only the rescue fleet but potentially tear a hole in spacetime itself. The door chimed, and a junior researcher rushed in, tablet in hand. Dr. Martinez, we're picking up council ships at the edge of our solar system. A lot of them. Elena pulled up the sensor data. Dozens of advanced vessels had arrived, taking up positions that effectively surrounded Earth. Their message was clear. The Council wasn't simply going to watch Earth defy their wisdom. They were going to actively prevent it. Admiral Hayes studied the tactical display, her expression hardening. They're positioned to intercept any launch toward the Varian system. Even if we get past them, they could easily catch our ships before we reach our destination. Their technology is far superior to ours. Superior technology didn't help them develop what we have, Elena said quietly, gesturing to the quantum bridge schematics. Superior technology didn't make them willing to risk everything to save a dying civilization. She turned to address the room. The Council thinks they can stop us by showing us their power, their advanced ships, their ability to isolate us from the galactic community. But they don't understand what makes humanity different. We've spent our entire history doing what others claimed was impossible. We've survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and our own near destruction of the environment. We did it not because we were the strongest or the smartest, but because we refused to accept failure when lives were at stake. The room fell silent as her words sank in. Then Admiral Hayes spoke up, a fierce grin on her face. Well, I've always wanted to see how our ships stack up against Council technology. Dr. Martinez, how quickly can you get that quantum bridge ready for deployment? Elena shared a look with Dr. Chen, who nodded firmly. Give us 2 weeks, she said. We'll need to modify the designs for covert launch and faster assembly in space, and we'll need volunteers for the rescue fleet. People willing to risk everything on untested technology, and a desperate plan. Volunteers won't be a problem, Hayes assured her. Half the Earth's military and civilian space forces have already requested assignment to this mission. Turns out humans don't much like being told to watch others die for the greater good. As the meeting broke up into focused working groups, Elena found herself back at her quantum detection array, studying the latest signals from the Varian system. Their star's death throes were accelerating. They had less time than originally estimated. But humanity had made its choice, against the Council's wisdom, against the threat of isolation, against the very laws of physics as they were understood, we would find a way. Because that's what humans do when everyone else says something is impossible. We prove them wrong. The quantum bridge prototype filled an entire underground chamber at CERN, its crystalline structures pulsing with an otherworldly blue light. Dr. Elena Martinez stood at the control console, watching as energy levels climbed steadily higher. This would be their 17th test of the day, and hopefully one that wouldn't end in catastrophic quantum feedback. Primary containment field stable, Dr. Chen reported, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. Quantum coherence at 93% and holding. Elena nodded, trying to ignore the exhaustion that came from working 36 hours straight. Initiating test sequence. Power to 20%. The chamber hummed louder as energy flowed through the quantum matrices. Geometric patterns of light danced across the walls, casting strange shadows that seemed to move in impossible ways. At the center of the device, a sphere of pure quantum energy began to form. Coherence at 95%. Chen called out, "This is better than we've ever." The sphere suddenly pulsed, sending out a wave of energy that made reality itself seem to ripple. Warning alarms blared as the containment field struggled to compensate. Power surge in the secondary matrix. Elena's hands flew across the controls. Shutting down. Wait. Chen's voice cut through the chaos. Look at the quantum signatures. They're stabilizing themselves. Elena checked her readings, eyes widening. The quantum sphere wasn't collapsing as it had in previous tests. Instead, it was reaching a state of dynamic equilibrium, exactly what they'd need to establish a stable connection to the Varian star's core. How? She whispered, studying the data. We didn't program this behavior. We didn't have to, Chen replied softly. The Varians were right. Quantum systems can adapt, evolve. We just had to give them the right conditions. Above ground, humanity's preparations continued at a fevered pace. 5 ships had been selected for the rescue mission, each one retrofitted with experimental quantum technology. Their crews trained relentlessly, learning to operate systems that pushed the boundaries of human understanding. Admiral Hayes had named her flagship the Horizon, a fitting choice for a mission that would take humanity beyond any horizon we'd ever known. The other vessels, Unity, Defiant, Pioneer, and Venture, were spread across 3 continents, being prepared for their covert launch. The Council ships remained in orbit, watching. They made no hostile moves, but their presence was a constant reminder of the consequences Earth faced for its defiance. Global economies had already begun to feel the impact of galactic isolation, yet public support for the rescue mission never wavered. In her rare moments of rest, Elena found herself drawn to the quantum communication array, studying the increasingly frequent signals from the Varian system. Their messages had changed from desperate pleas to detailed technical exchanges, their alien minds working alongside human scientists to refine the quantum bridge theory. "They're not what I expected," Elena commented to Lai Wei, the former ambassador now serving as their primary xenolinguist. The Council always portrayed other civilizations as either primitive or coldly logical. The Varians are different. Lai nodded, reviewing the latest transmission. They're curious, creative. Their messages are filled with questions about Earth, about human culture. They seem genuinely excited about working with us, even under these circumstances. A new signal caught their attention, its quantum signature more complex than previous transmissions. As they decoded it, a 3-dimensional image formed in the holographic display. The first visual contact with the Varian species. The alien being before them was both familiar and utterly foreign. Its form seemed to shift and flow, more energy than matter, yet there was something recognizably alive in its movements, its gestures. "Greetings, people of Earth." The Varian's translated words filled the room. "I am Xylix, Chief Scientist of the Stellar Preservation Project. We have reviewed your quantum bridge modifications. They are extraordinary." Elena stepped forward, her heart racing at this historic moment. "Thank you, Chief Scientist. We've incorporated your insights about quantum adaptation into the design. But we're seeing some unusual patterns in the test results." "Yes." Xylix's form rippled with what might have been excitement. "Your approach to quantum mechanics is fascinating. You treat it as a tool, something to be controlled. We learn to treat it as a partner, a living aspect of reality itself. Together, we may have discovered something entirely new." The conversation continued, two species sharing knowledge across the light years, finding common ground in their mutual love of discovery and their determination to defy the impossible. But time was running out. "Our star's core is destabilizing faster than predicted," Xylix reported grimly. "The Council's predictions were flawed. We have perhaps 3 weeks, not the months they claimed." Elena exchanged alarmed looks with her team. The rescue fleet wasn't scheduled to launch for another month. "We'll have to accelerate everything," she said. "But the Council ships—" "Let me worry about the Council," Admiral Hayes interrupted, entering the communications center. "We've been developing some ideas about that. Dr. Martinez, can your teams be ready for launch in 2 weeks?" Elena thought of the quantum bridge prototype, its mysterious self-stabilizing behavior, the countless tests still needed. But she also thought of the Varians, a civilization of brilliant minds facing extinction, while the galaxy's most advanced species stood by and watched. "We'll be ready," she promised. "The technology may not be perfect. Nothing ever is," Hayes cut in. "But I'd rather try something imperfect than live with the perfection of doing nothing." As if in response to her words, the quantum sphere in the test chamber pulsed again, its light seeming to reach out toward the stars. In 2 weeks, humanity would attempt something unprecedented. A rescue mission using experimental technology, defying the wishes of vastly superior civilizations, risking everything on the belief that the impossible was merely a challenge to be overcome. The Council thought they were watching a primitive species learn its place in the galactic order. Instead, they were about to witness something they had forgotten was possible. A civilization choosing to rise above cold calculation and act from that most powerful of human traits, hope. The launch window was scheduled for 300 hours UTC. 5 ships, hidden in facilities across Earth, waited for the signal. Dr. Elena Martinez stood on the bridge of the horizon, her quantum bridge control station humming with potential energy. Every screen showed the Council vessels in high orbit, their crystalline hulls gleaming in the starlight. "All ships report ready," Admiral Hayes announced from the command chair. "Quantum systems are charged and stable. Dr. Martinez, final status." Elena checked her readings one last time. "Quantum bridges are synchronized. Each ship's matrix is maintaining coherence at acceptable levels. We're as ready as we'll ever be." "Then let's hope your distraction works, Dr. Chen." On the other side of the planet, in the CERN facility, Dr. Chen initiated the sequence they'd spent the last week preparing. Dozens of quantum signals burst from Earth's surface, each one a perfect replica of their ship's quantum signatures. The Council vessels would detect what appeared to be a massive launch of over 50 ships, scattered across the globe. "Multiple contacts," the tactical officer reported. "Council ships are moving to intercept the decoy signatures. Orbital grid is breaking up." Hayes leaned forward. "That's our window. All ships, execute launch sequence. Maximum burn on my mark." Elena gripped her console as the countdown began. Everything they'd worked for came down to the next few minutes. If the Council saw through their deception too quickly, if the quantum bridges failed during launch, if any one of 1,000 things went wrong. Mark. 5 ships lifted off simultaneously, their experimental quantum drives powering them through the atmosphere at unprecedented speeds. Elena's stomach lurched as the horizon accelerated, pushing through the physical barriers that should have torn the ship apart. The quantum fields they'd developed didn't just power the bridges, they altered local space-time, allowing for velocities that conventional physics said were impossible. "Council ships are realizing the deception," Tactical reported tensely. They're moving to pursue, but our velocity is exceeding their predicted capabilities. Hayes allowed herself a tight smile. The Varians were right about quantum fields affecting propulsion. We're actually outrunning the most advanced ships in the galaxy. But their victory was short-lived. As they cleared the solar system, long-range sensors detected more Council vessels waiting at strategic points along their route. The Council had anticipated their attempt and laid a trap. 8 vessels moving to intercept, Tactical announced. Their weapons are powered. Alina's hands flew across her console as new data streamed in. The quantum bridges are still stable, but these readings. Admiral, the Council ships are generating some kind of quantum disruption field. If they hit us with that, it could collapse our bridges. Hayes studied the tactical display, her expression grim. Time to contact with the Varian system. 17 minutes at current velocity, but those Council ships will intercept us in 12. The Admiral opened a channel to all ships. This is Hayes. You all knew the risks when you volunteered for this mission. The Council is trying to stop us not because we're wrong, but because we're proving them wrong. Every person on these ships represents humanity's refusal to stand by while others suffer. I'm going to ask you for one more sacrifice. She turned to Alina. Doctor, if we divert power from life support and safety systems to the quantum drives, how much more speed can we get? Alina's eyes widened. You're talking about running without radiation shielding, without artificial gravity, without emergency backups. Even if we survive the acceleration, we'd be absorbing lethal doses of radiation. But would we reach the Varians in time? Elena ran the calculations, her hands shaking slightly. Yes. We'd make it before the Council ships could catch us. But Admiral, the crew, would give their lives to save billions, Hayes finished quietly. The kind of math the Council never learned to do. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Then, one by one, the crew began voicing their agreement. Similar messages flooded in from the other ships. Not one voice of dissent. Divert the power, Hayes ordered. All hands secure for maximum acceleration. And Dr. Martinez, it's been an honor. Alina felt tears floating in the suddenly zero-gravity environment as she initiated the power transfer. The ship's deck plates vibrated as unprecedented levels of energy poured into the quantum drives. Warning alerts screamed about failing safety systems, rising radiation levels, critical structural stress. The stars outside became streaks of light as the 5 ships accelerated to speeds that humans had only dreamed of. Alina's body felt like it was being crushed, even as her cells began to absorb deadly radiation. Through blurring vision, she saw the Council ships falling behind, unable to match their desperate velocity. Quantum bridges are holding, she managed to report. Bridge synchronization at 98%. We're going to make it. Hayes nodded, her face strained with the same forces affecting them all. Send word to the Varians. Tell them humanity keeps its promises. As the message was sent, Alina looked at the tactical display one last time. The Council ships had stopped pursuing, perhaps realizing at last what they were witnessing. A supposedly primitive species willingly sacrificing everything not for profit or power, but simply because it was the right thing to do. The Varian star grew larger in their view, its unstable core pulsing with the same quantum energies they'd learned to harness. In less than 5 minutes, they would deploy the quantum bridges. In less than 5 minutes, they would attempt something that the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy had deemed impossible. And even if they succeeded, none of them would live to see it. Alina thought of Earth, of all they were leaving behind. The Council would never understand what drove humans to make such choices. They would study this mission for centuries, trying to comprehend what made a species risk everything for strangers. But as the quantum bridges powered up for their final purpose, Alina knew the answer was simple. This was who we were. This was what made humanity different. Not our technology or our intelligence, but our unshakable conviction that no one should face the darkness alone. The Varian star filled their view, and Elena Martinez prepared for humanity's final gift to the galaxy. Proof that impossible was just another word for not trying hard enough. That was what the Council ship's observers reported seeing first, a burst of quantum radiance so intense it briefly outshone the Varian star itself. The 5 human vessels, pushing the boundaries of physics with their desperate gambit, had reached their destination. As the light faded, sensors recorded something unprecedented. The quantum bridges deploying in perfect synchronization, their energy matrices forming an impossible connection with the dying star's core. What happened next would be debated in scientific circles across the galaxy for centuries to come. The Varian star's quantum signature changed, not gradually, as all known physics would suggest, but instantly, as if the star itself had made a choice. The fatal instabilities in its core didn't simply stabilize, they transformed, becoming something entirely new, something that should not have been possible. On Earth, Dr. Wei Chen stood before his quantum detection array, tears streaming down his face as he recorded the data streaming in from the distant star system. The Council ships in orbit had gone silent, their sophisticated sensors dedicated to observing what many were already calling the Martinez event. They did it, he whispered, studying the readings. They actually did it. But the story was far from over. 3 days after the quantum transformation of the Varian star, a new signal reached Earth. It came not through conventional channels, but through the quantum fabric of space itself, carried by the very forces that Elena Martinez and her team had helped unlock. The message was simple, yet it changed everything. We remember, the signal came from the Varian system, but it was unlike any communication previously received. The quantum patterns were extraordinarily complex, showing signs of both Varian and human influences. As xenolinguists worked to decode more messages, a stunning truth emerged. The crew of the 5 human ships hadn't died. They had evolved. The massive burst of quantum energy, combined with the experimental bridge technology and the desperate circumstances of their mission, had triggered something unprecedented. The human crews, their bodies already altered by extreme radiation and quantum exposure, had undergone a transformation similar to what the Varians had discovered during their own brush with extinction. They had become quantum beings, existing in a state that transcended conventional matter. More remarkably, they had somehow shared this transformation with the Varians themselves. The dying civilization hadn't simply been saved. They had been changed, elevated to a new form of existence that the Council's rigid understanding of physics had never imagined possible. Dr. Chen found himself explaining this to a hastily assembled meeting of Earth's leaders, while Council representatives watched in uncharacteristic silence. The quantum bridge didn't just connect our ships to their star, he explained. It connected 2 species, 2 different approaches to understanding reality. The Varians saw quantum mechanics as a living force, while we saw it as a tool. When those perspectives merge, we created something new. A familiar voice completed his sentence. The quantum communicator pulsed, and a form of energy coalesced into a recognizable shape. Elena Martinez, or rather, what Elena Martinez had become. The assembled leaders gasped. Elena's new form was neither fully human nor purely energy, but something in between. She smiled, the expression somehow visible despite her transformed state. "We understand so much more now," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate with reality itself. The Council wasn't wrong about the physical laws of the universe. They were just, limited in their understanding. The quantum realm isn't just a set of rules to be followed. It's a frontier of possibility, waiting for someone to be brave enough to explore it. Over the following months, more communications arrived from the Varian system. The transformed humans and Varians were exploring their new existence, discovering capabilities that defied conventional physics. They could traverse space without ships, communicate instantly across any distance, and perceive reality in ways that even the most advanced Council species couldn't comprehend. But they didn't lose their humanity. When a massive solar flare threatened a Council colony 6 months later, Quantum beings appeared to help evacuate the population. When a spatial anomaly endangered a merchant fleet, familiar energy forms guided them to safety. Time and again, the transformed humans and their variant allies proved that evolution hadn't changed their fundamental nature, the desire to help others in need. The Council was forced to reevaluate everything they thought they knew. Their rigid hierarchies and ancient assumptions crumbled in the face of what humanity had achieved. They had believed themselves to be the pinnacle of civilization, only to be shown that true advancement came not from technological superiority, but from the willingness to risk everything to help others. 1 year after the Martinez event, Earth received another quantum signal. This one carried the combined knowledge of human and variant science, including the beginnings of what they called quantum evolution theory. It wasn't shared with the Council first, or with the most advanced species. It was given freely to humanity, with a message that Elena Martinez herself delivered. We succeeded not because we were the most advanced, or the most powerful, or the most knowledgeable. We succeeded because we dared to believe that no cost was too high to save others, that no challenge was too great when lives were at stake. The Council thought they were watching a primitive species learn its place in the galaxy. Instead, they witnessed humanity, teaching the galaxy what it means to truly be civilized. The quantum beings who had once been the crews of 5 human ships continued their existence among the stars, neither fully human nor completely transcended. They became a bridge themselves, between what was and what could be, between the physical and the quantum, between limitation and possibility. And on Earth, a new generation looked up at the stars with fresh understanding. We had proven that humanity's greatest strength wasn't our technology or our intelligence, but our capacity for sacrifice, our refusal to accept the impossible, and our unwavering belief that no one should face extinction alone. In the end, we had done more than save a civilization. We had shown the galaxy that true advancement comes not from standing apart in superior wisdom, but from reaching out to others in their darkest hour. We had proven that humanity's place in the cosmos would be defined not by our power, but by our compassion. The Council had wanted to teach humanity its place in the galactic order. Instead, humanity had taught the galaxy about the power of hope, the strength of sacrifice, and the truth that had driven us from our very beginnings. The only impossible things are the ones we choose not to try.